Greetings and salutations, and welcome back to Truthseekers. Friends, I am here to bring a story of karma, perhaps, because many have wondered about the person that tonight's show is about. That would be one, David Wilcock, who is perhaps most famous, if you could call it famous, for being on the television show Ancient Aliens. It's important to point out that the ancient alien theory has been largely debunked by serious researchers and serious scientists as being garbage. But it didn't stop the History Channel from making some, what are they up to, 12 seasons about this flawed theory. For those unaware, the theory suggests that in ancient times, aliens visited Earth, influenced humanity, and in some portions of the story, even genetically altered existing primates on planet Earth, which would then become the humans that we are now. However, this flawed theory that David Wilcock was all up in is problematic at the very best. First of all, it's largely based on the work of Zecharia Sitchin and translations of ancient Sumerian tablets that he had no qualifications to actually translate. And I can show you chapter and verse proof that Zecharia Sitchin mistranslated many things in those tablets to fit his hypothesis, which was that aliens somehow were involved with early human civilizations. These theories are extremely flawed, often faking evidence or connecting a great many disconnected dots to fit the theory. One of my favorite things that the ancient alien theorists always do is claim that there are descriptions of flying saucers in ancient Sanskrit writings, ancient Indian writings as well. And while there certainly are descriptions of mythological flying things like flying carpets in those, they routinely mislead people, citing a book that was channeled in 1956 as evidence or proof that ancient people knew about flying saucers and anti-gravity technology and nuclear weapons and more. Again, this is misleading at best. It's lying at worst. They lie to the audience and tell them there's flying saucers in these ancient Vedic texts. And then they show us a book that was channeled in 1950 and no one really knows the true author of as their proof. The book is from 1950 that they all reference. It's not an ancient book. And it was a channeled book. Take from that what you will. Now, do I believe that some so-called channeled information has value? Sure. After all, one could argue that some parts of the Christian Bible and Jewish Bible were inspired or channeled in some way or form. Many people find the Urantia book to be spiritually helpful and enlightening. Many people find the Law of One material, which is also channeled, to be valuable. I can't take that value away if people find value in channeled work. However, using a channeled book as proof and lying to everyone and saying this is from ancient Vedic text is misleading and stupid and childish. These people that want to promote this so-called ancient aliens theory will use any deceptive means they can to convince people that this theory is real. I don't believe that it is, although I was once very interested in it myself as a young man. However, the deeper you dig into ancient alien theory and theorists, the more garbage you find. I don't think that it's a credible theory. I don't think there is real proof. You know, they often point to things like, well, we can't explain how these ancient people built this, so it must have been aliens. That's the gist. of ancient alien theory? Well, we have these ancient ruins and we don't know how they cut these stones, so must have been that they got help from aliens. We're not sure how the pyramids were exactly built, so must have been aliens helped them build those pyramids. It's kind of ridiculous the deeper that you get into it. So one of the greatest heroes of the ancient alien theory, which is largely garbage, has been David Wilcock, who rose to fame being on this History Channel show, if you could call it fame. I don't think so. I think he would be, a C celebrity at best, right? Maybe he has a future. Maybe they'll take him on Dancing with the Stars. Probably not. You have to be somewhat of a star, though. But David Wilcock thinks that he's a big rock star of this thing, right? He's super famous, and I guess to some extent, maybe he is. After all, he's been able to scam the public out of literally millions of dollars for his garbage psychic predictions, for his garbage theories, for his garbage disconnected, bundled together nonsense of garbage that was all scattered all over the internet that he, combines into a PowerPoint and somehow thinks, he has the truth. He doesn't. Now, I mentioned that there's good news. What is the good news? Well, for years, people have been watching David Wilcock scam the public. I have been watching David Wilcock scam the public with his fake psychic predictions, with his books full of fake information, with his fake psychic predictions in his books. My favorite was in 2012 when he said we'd all get light bodies after 2012 came and we'd all get superpowers. Yeah, that didn't work out too well for him. Later, David Wilcock would form something called Convergence Pictures, LLC. And for 2+ years, he would ask for donations, ask for investments into his new film company, which was going to make the next big alien documentary. So for 2 years, he solicited donations in the form of $10,000 chunks. That's right, you had to give him at least $10,000 to become an investor in his film company. And then after 2 years, the film company went belly up before producing a single second of video content. I'm not sure what happened to all that investor money, but there have been various rumors that he just lived off of it for 2 years, spent it all, and then put the company belly up. Now, I'd love to reach out to David Wilcock and get some clarification. Where did all the money? Some say it was hundreds of thousands of dollars that he collected, but I have no verification of that. Of course, this is rumors and speculation. People have speculated based on the number of people on Avalon forums complaining about their investment and what happened to their money. May have been in the tune of tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'd like to know what happened to that money. I'm sure so with the people that gave him that money. Next, we get David Wilcock, and by the way, his friend Lulu, who's in this video that we're going to share tonight, posted an emergency message on GoFundMe about Pete Peterson. One of his other fake insiders that was basically a senile old man who claimed to be Ronald Reagan's science and technology advisor, claimed to work for the Russian equivalent of NASA, claimed to be an early computer pioneer. None of those things were true. But Lulu, this person that works for David Wilcock, and David Wilcock started a GoFundMe where they claimed that the deep state and the men in black and the government were throwing all of his belongings out of this house he owned and riding over them with bulldozers, right? None of that was true. But that didn't stop David Wilcock and this Lulu person from collecting some $60,000 in GoFundMe money. But the truth was that home was already foreclosed on years before they started the GoFundMe to save his home. No amount of money could have saved the home that was already foreclosed on. That was yet another David Wilcock scam. Next, David Wilcock did a PayPal scam for his friend and another insider of his that is extremely problematic in the form of Emery Smith, claiming that Emery Smith was under deep state attack and they ransacked his house and they left a bullet on his counter. Turns out that was all fake. Oh, and Emery Smith was in the hospital because they hit him with some kind of a weapon, an ice dart that poisoned him or something, right? He's under deep state money. Well, that scam that David Wilcock started, promoted, and hosted on his website earned some $50,000. No one's sure where that money went. I would assume that he gave it to Emery Smith, but one could also speculate that he kept part of that money for himself for helping Emery Smith advertise and promote that scam. I'd like to see a breakdown of all the money collected in the Emery Smith PayPal donation scam and where all the money went. Next, we get David Wilcock's 501c3, his what I call his charity scam. Now, we don't know how much money David Wilcock collected in that scam. We only know that in the first year that he ran that so-called charity, he collected some $70,000 from the public. And what did he do with that money? Well, he spent it all on himself. Meals and entertainment, vehicle expenses. He had his charity paying his cell phone bills, rent, expenses, software, equipment. Yeah. So David Wilcock starts a charity, says he's going to do all these great charitable works, and in the first year, he collected $70,000, which he proceeded to spend on himself. Now, it's very confusing. Are David Wilcock's YouTube videos produced with the equipment that he bought with charitable donations? And aren't those videos for profit, considering they're monetized and have YouTube ads on them? And he is collecting super chat donations during those broadcasts? At one point, David Wilcock seemed to indicate that all the money collected would be going into his charitable foundation. You know, the one where he collects $70,000, doesn't pay any income tax, and then spends all the money on himself. Yeah, $4,000, as I recall, for meals and entertainment. Must be nice. I don't know. Maybe I'm cheap, but I have a family of four, and we could go to Applebee's, you know, I don't know how many hundreds of times with $4,000. So I'd love to know where David Wilcock was eating and what he was doing to entertain himself with $4,000, and why should people's charitable donations pay for his meals and his entertainment expenses. Now, I'd also love to know what David Wilcock collected in charitable donations for the next 2 years that his charity has been in effect. But unfortunately, David Wilcock has refused to file the required paperwork with the IRS showing exactly how much money he collected in charitable donations and what he did with all of said monies. He filed the first year, hasn't filed the next 2 years. And now recently, the ability to donate to his charity has been taken down by PayPal. Not sure why that is, but one can speculate that perhaps his charitable organization had their license to be a charity revoked for failure to file the required legal paperwork that the IRS requires. Additionally, David Wilcock is required by law to furnish this paperwork to anyone who asks. You all know I have asked him 50 times at all different times in the past 2 years to give me the paperwork. He has so far refused. Even his accounting firm refused to give me them. He lists an accounting firm with his charity. I called them. They won't give me the paperwork. So I'm not sure what kind of a professional accounting firm won't call somebody back who's making a legal request for documents related to a charity they represent. I'm not sure what kind of reputable accounting firm would refuse to call somebody back or provide any answers about where that paperwork is. Next, David Wilcock has recently claimed that he put all the money he's been making from his courses and his videos into this new adventure where he's going to become the father of anti-gravity. This is extremely problematic and scammy as well, because, friends, you cannot take money from a charitable organization and then invest it in a for-profit company. That would be illegal. But we don't get any answers from David Wilcock. All we get is his ignoring critics, ignoring questions. Though every once in a while he does sort of slip and mention something that I'm sure that he saw here on Truthseekers. I know from people he thinks are his friends that he watches this show every time that we talk about him. Maybe he takes notes on how to become a better scammer. I'm giving him tips, apparently, on the things that he's doing that look too scammy. And then he tries to make some adjustments. I don't know if that would be a fair assessment of the situation, but it's reasonable speculation given a few things that he has said publicly. Now, we move on to the latest in what I'm calling a scam. David Wilcock's latest course, he says, and I quote, "We're going to teach you the secrets of anti-gravity and free energy, and then you'll be able to do it too," unquote. It's a very bold statement to tell people that if you just give me $333, I'm going to teach you the secrets of anti-gravity and free energy, and you'll be able to do it too. Now, I was on Jeremy Rye's show, Alien Scientist, and they purchased David Wilcock's course. And largely what I'm told the course is a bunch of disconnected nonsense, unproven theories, and papers people have written that were scattered all over the internet, none of which has been proven to be a workable solution to creating anti-gravity or free energy. No, David Wilcock just cobbled together things that anybody can find on the internet, put up some PowerPoint slides, and then charged people $333 for it. David Wilcock also in his latest course is claiming that humans can levitate, and it's scientifically proven that humans can levitate. Now, I'm sure that what he is referring to is the practice of yogic flying. So I'm going to put up my fair use banner, and I'm going to show you what David Wilcock claims is levitating. And please tell me in the comments, does this look like levitating to you? You let me know what you think. Is this proof that humans can levitate, as David Wilcock suggests? I don't believe that it is. Let me get my fair use banner up. We'll be right. Let me get that, friends. And I apologize. You'll have to excuse the dead air. If there's dead air and you're listening in audio podcast land, it will be because I am coughing and hacking terribly and muting myself. So my apologies. So we're going to share this video, which is of yogic flying, a practice of transcendental meditation, which claims that people are levitating and flying. And again, I'm not going to judge it. I'll let you, the audience, judge it. Is this people flying, or is this something else? Let me try that one more time. Make sure we share the audio.
They are creating an instant, powerful radiation from the universal field of the intelligence of nature, the unified field of natural law. And when there are so many together, for example, here in Holland, there are 400 together. When even 400 people in Holland could do this together, intensely stimulate the unity at the basis of all diversity through their blissful yogic practice, it creates powerful coherence, indomitable coherence, that is harmony and peace in the national consciousness. It creates an integrated national consciousness.
So I'm sorry, friends. If this is David Wilcock's proof that humans can levitate, I want my money back. Again, when he's selling his course for $333, he's telling people that he will teach them proof that humans can levitate. If that's the best proof that he has, I think everybody should ask for their money back. It's kind of ridiculous. So pardon me again. Now we're going to go to sharing David Wilcock's latest video. So bear with me while I get that up, friends. Now, this is from his public website. This is a live Q&A. But I'm still going to cite fair use. This is fair use. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public about David Wilcock and his latest course, which I believe is a scam because he's telling people that he's going to teach them the secrets of anti-gravity, and they'll be able to do it too, the secrets of free energy, and they'll be able to do it too. So unless David Wilcock can produce people that have taken his course that can build an anti-gravity engine or device and free energy device, then I'm calling this a scam. Not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. That's a scam. If you're telling people, buy my course for $333, I'll teach you the secrets of anti-gravity and free energy, and you'll be able to do it too, and then nobody's able to do it, then you just sold the public a scam. And I want to thank CB for a kind and generous $5 super chat. I bought his course, and you can tell even his insider thinks Wilcock is full of BS at some points when the course is pathetic. Well, I'm glad you shared. And if you could, please email me at truthseekershow@gmail.com and see if you could provide me with a breakdown of what it is that people get for the $333. I'm sorry that you were a victim of this consumer scam, but I would advise you to contact your local law enforcement. Let them know that you want your money back, and also contact your bank or your credit card that you paid for this with, and let them know that you feel like you got scammed and you want your money back. If everybody did that, he would be forced to give refunds on this garbage consumer fraud scam that he is running. And that would be fair. You know, if you're running a scam and people feel like they got scammed and they didn't get their money's worth, you should be forced to give them their money back. But I believe he does say no refunds or something like that. Doesn't make it legal to scam people just because you say, by the way, if you feel scammed after you buy my scam course, you can't get a refund so I'm legally covered. I could just scam you and keep your money. I don't think that's a valid legal argument, but I'm no lawyer. I would encourage you, CB, to go to local law enforcement, let them know that you bought a course for $333 and the guy selling the course lied to you about what you would get for your money. You don't feel like you got anywhere near what you're supposed to get for your money. File a claim with your credit card, file a claim with your bank, telling them that you want them to charge back and get your money back. Everybody should do that. And thank you, CB, for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. I have this queued up now so that I wanted to skip the first 12 minutes. He doesn't really talk about anything relevant. But what I was talking about earlier is the good news here is that for years, I have been watching David Wilcock scam the public with various different new age scams, fake GoFundMe scams that were filled with lies. The text body of the GoFundMe, every word in it was lies. We called the local police and verified that everything in that GoFundMe was lies. We talked to the bank that did the foreclosure. Everything in that GoFundMe was lies. So for years, I've been watching David Wilcock scam the public while living a millionaire's lifestyle, buying $1 million mansions and providing no value to people, just scamming people for, let's see, fake prophecies, fake information, fake clowns that claim to be some kind of insiders to a secret space program when really they're senile old men. And anybody can pick apart people like Pete Peterson, go through his biography and prove that everything in the man's biography was fake and manufactured, embellished, or just straight made up. David Wilcock charged people money to listen to stories of Pete Peterson claiming he was some government insider, when the truth is he was a senile old man who died penniless in a state nursing home. That's consumer fraud. I watched as David Wilcock scammed the public out of $60,000 in a GoFundMe scam with his friend Lulu, who posted it actually, but she just copied and pasted from his website or perhaps from the information he gave her. I watched as David Wilcock scammed everybody with a PayPal scam, claiming Emery Smith was under deep state attack, when the truth was he was in the hospital for alcohol poisoning. And we get that revelation and proof from his former father-in-law. The points on the curve guy. He took down his YouTube videos, but there are still portions of them on our show where he details the entire scam that David Wilcock and Emery Smith perpetrated on the public. I watched as David Wilcock scammed the general public with Convergence Pictures, LLC, collecting $10,000 payments from investors for more than 2 years and never produced a film. I watched as David Wilcock started a charity and collected $70,000 the first year and spent all the money on himself and did not perform a single charitable event. He did not perform anything. He didn't make one peanut butter and jelly sandwich and give it to a homeless person with that $70,000. What did he do with the money? $4,000 in meals and entertainment expenses. We know he did that. We know he bought a lot of software and things for himself. But no, out of $70,000, this man couldn't be bothered to make a single peanut butter and jelly sandwich to give to a homeless person or somebody in need. So I ask you, what charitable acts did David Wilcock do? Or was this charity or so-called charity just another in a long line of consumer fraud scams run by David Wilcock to give himself free money to spend? So I've watched all of these scams, wondering all the while, how can he keep getting away with this? How has law enforcement not become involved? And I have to tell you that several people have theorized that he is somewhat connected with some three-letter agencies who like him out there telling these fake alien stories. Because if people are looking for the little green men that David Wilcock keeps talking about, they're not looking at the black budget projects, the USAPs, the secret projects run by our government with exotic technology, with drones, with stealth blimps, and more. I believe that some faction of the United States government wants clowns like David Wilcock, like telling these stories, because if people are looking for the little green men and think it's aliens, they'll never get to the real truth. Much of it is stealth blimps, drone technology, exotic drones, spy satellites, and more that they don't want us to know about. There has to be a reason, friends, why David Wilcock has been able to continually scam the public out of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars and never face any legal consequences so far. There has to be a reason. Am I sure what that reason is? I don't know. But there's got to be a reason why this guy has been able to scam the public out of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars and never face repercussions from law enforcement. So I'm going to cite fair use. We're going to be hearing from Mr. Wilcock about his latest scam, which is an aircraft company. And in this, it's great because I told you there was good news. Here's the good news. David Wilcock has made hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, scamming the public with his fake psychic predictions, with his fake psychic powers, with his fake information, with his fake insiders, telling stories about aliens. He has made literally millions of dollars scamming the public with all of this fake shit. And I've often wondered, is karma real in the universe? Because if it was, David Wilcock should face a karmic consequence. And it would now appear that David Wilcock is finally going to face his own karma for all the people that he stole money from over these years. What is it, 20 years now he's been doing this, stealing money from people for his fake-ass stories and his fake-ass insiders and his fake-ass superpowers? 20 years, good run. But it would appear that the jig is up. Because apparently, David Wilcock, who is so terrible at vetting people, after all, he's the genius who brought us, Bill Brockrader. Remember that guy? Court-martial child molester. Yeah, great vetting skills, David Wilcock. You sat there and interviewed a child molester with Kari Cassidy. Great, great. You're such a great researcher. David Wilcock's vetting skills are so terrible that he brought us Pete Peterson, a fake insider that never worked for the government when you look into it, never worked for the Russian equivalent of NASA, never was a computer pioneer, never invented anything, as David Wilcock claimed. He stole money from the public telling stories about that guy. He even wrote a whole book about that guy's fake stories. I believe he should have to give all that money back. Here's the guy who brought us Emery Smith, who claimed that he was somehow involved with a top secret program. And first, David Wilcock and him said they autopsied 3,000 aliens. Later, they walked that back. Well, Emery Smith did and said, no, it was 3,000 tissue samples. Turns out that Emery Smith is lying to everybody, telling girls he's going on secret missions. You know, girls he's trying to bang. Great guy that David Wilcock brought our community. Great vetting skills. David Wilcock vets no one. If somebody's telling stupid stories about aliens that he thinks he can make money from, he runs with it. He doesn't care if they're child molesters. He doesn't care if they're falling down alcoholic drunks, lying to people, lying to women. Emery Smith's lying to women, telling them he's on secret missions in Antarctica while he's drunk in his living room after drinking 2 bottles of vodka that day. David Wilcock also brought us Corey Good. Boy, see my coverage yesterday. Boy, what vetting skills you have, David Wilcock. What great vetting skills you have. Now, thinking about how great David Wilcock is at vetting people, or even just being a good, let's call it, judge of character, it's reasonable to assume that David Wilcock isn't the criminal mastermind I have sometimes thought that he was, but rather that David Wilcock is so desperate to believe in this garbage information that he will believe anybody. David Wilcock will believe a child molester if it fits with his worldview, if it fits with his preconceived notions about aliens and ancient aliens and the secret government and the cabal. Who cares if the guy's a child molester? He's saying things that I believe too. Who cares if the guy's a falling down alcoholic drunk that is victimizing people for years? I like his stories about autopsying aliens. Who cares if this is a senile old man? And we've heard that Pete Peterson was so senile and making no sense that when he filmed episodes of Cosmic Disclosure with Jay Weidner had to spend tens of hours editing everything to try to make any of his BS stories make sense. Jay Weidner believed that he was a senile old man that David Wilcock was taking advantage of to make money. And of course, David Wilcock brings us Corey Good. What great vetting skills you had there, buddy, right? But he didn't care because he knew he could make money off of the toxic Corey Good garbage. But now it would appear that his vetting skills got put to the test yet again. But this time, David Wilcock vetted a man who had a company called Stavati Aerospace. Since 1995, has not produced a single airplane. And somehow David Wilcock was convinced that this company was going to do amazing things, even though they haven't produced a single airplane in 25 years. Being an airplane company kind of means you're supposed to be producing airplanes. David Wilcock has invested a great deal of his personal money. I have it on good authority, a source whose name I won't share because he's friends with David Wilcock and has spoken to David Wilcock about this. You know, and here's the thing, David Wilcock needs to be careful because these people that he thinks are his friends, some of them hate his guts. And some of them run to people like me to share information about what David Wilcock is saying behind the scenes. At least 2 sources have independently confirmed for me that David Wilcock has invested a huge chunk of his personal wealth into this company, Stavati Aerospace. Why did he do that? Because he believes that him and this company are going to make hover cars, right? David Wilcock has potentially put millions of his own money into this company that I believe is very clearly some sort of investment scam. That's my opinion and speculation and my, I suppose you could call it my analysis of that company, having done several weeks worth of research into that company so far. I believe that's an investment scam. A company that hasn't produced an aircraft in 25 years, but is still soliciting the public for investors. What else could it be? How do you keep a company afloat for 25 years and never turn a profit? Is it a Ponzi scheme where they take people's money, run the company, never produce anything, and then when they run out of that investor's money, they find a new investor? David Wilcock is the new Mark. And I got to tell you, I think if this works out the way that I feel it's going to, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that this new company David Wilcock has invested all of his money into is never going to produce anything. They're not going to produce free energy devices. They're not going to produce any anti-gravity engines. They're not going to produce hover cars. They're not going to produce all these airplanes that they claim that they're going to produce. It's just not going to happen. And if that is indeed what happens, then David Wilcock will have lost millions of dollars of money. But it will be the same millions of dollars of money that he generated by lying through his teeth to people for 20 years, by using child rapists as sources of his alien stories, by using senile old men as sources for his alien stories, by using people like Corey Good, who are now suing everybody in the UFO community that said his wackadoo Buck Rogers stories aren't real. If David Wilcock were to lose millions and millions of dollars of his own money, I won't feel bad for him, because after all, look how he generated that millions and millions of dollars. Now let's get to the video.
So we're going to exceed a year's worth of weekly television episodes, I'm sure, by the time we get done. And what's so amazing about this is you're getting to meet a brand new guy. You're getting to meet a new insider who, honestly, you know, some of the other insiders we brought out ended up having, you know, kind of bizarre storylines and they didn't handle the public necessarily as well as they could. Well, Ben has been a family man. He's been married. He has 2 kids. He doesn't do any strange stuff. He's just a guy.
Yes, I'm aware. I'm sorry. I forgot that I had muted myself. I'm trying not to hack and cough all into the microphone. So it would appear that he's taken a hit at Corey Good. And I think that's funny, but others have suggested that Corey Good has some kind of dirt on David Wilcock, which makes David Wilcock easy for him to manipulate and get him to do things for him, like appear at his events. Who knows?
Guy who really, really loves to make and talk about airplanes and spaceships. And so it's an amazing opportunity to get to know somebody new. And as I've been going through the videos, one of the things I'm the most excited by is how many other topics that we talk about besides just what's on the website. I mean, I really do feel that by the time you get done watching this course, you're going to feel very confident that anti-gravity is achievable. You'll have a really good idea of how it works. And then when I go into week 6, I go into the human levitation.
Yes, and we've seen the human levitation earlier. And I'm going to ask you, please put it in the comments. The people hopping on their butts in lotus position that we showed, that's called yogic flying. Does that look like flying to you? Does that look like levitation to you? Or does that look like somebody hopping on their butts? Let me know what you think in the comments.
And how this new science of when we really start to understand how anti-gravity works, how would that apply to this concept of ascension? Because let's go over to wide shot here. If Michael is telling us that this whole thing that we're dealing with is not going to involve earth changes, that's one of the things that I find incredibly fascinating about the Michael prophecies. And I think you're going to want to see the book too, and you know, come up with your own ideas.
Yeah, and for those unaware, he's talking about the Archangel Michael is basically telling him that he's the father of anti-gravity and to keep going on your current course. And there's all these prophecies. I think it's garbage. And I think that him using Christian mythology, imagery, and figureheads and archetypes is his way of distancing himself from the blue chicken cult and Corey Good's sphere being nonsense and, you know, the blue chicken aliens and all that stuff.
About this because, as I've said before, to see this many time-looped prophecies into one moment in a single document is unprecedented, except for the legend of the Sibyl of Cumae, which I don't even, most of us, nobody's ever really seen those books. We have to take it on faith that the Sibyl of Cumae channeled the future history of Rome chronologically and had many, many accurate hits in there. So that's kind of but you know, Rome considered that document worth as much as a whole vault room full of gold. So to say that this is valuable to have these kind of prophecies is an understatement. There's very few times in human history where something of this kind of scope of actual just basic prophecy accuracy has happened. And it's very bizarre for it to have happened to me, especially considering that after 2000, I kind of stopped doing most of these readings. And in fact, Archangel Michael said goodbye in December 1999.
He's never mentioned, to my knowledge, channeling the Archangel Michael in the year 2000. I looked over his Ascension2000.com website and all his writings. I don't see mention of the Archangel Michael. So is he just making this up here? It used to be that he was channeling Ra, the Egyptian god, and getting all his prophecies from Ra, the Egyptian god. Now he's pivoting and claiming that he was getting prophetic visions and information from the Archangel Michael in the year 2000, though he does not provide any written proof that we can verify that he wrote about those things in the year 2000. I think this is a retcon.
But he didn't really need to say anymore because it's so amazing. So anyway, Elizabeth, I kind of got lost on what our question
Okay,
was.
well, and also disclosure in general. I think one of the questions was, you know, what is disclosure just in general?
Oh, what is
People might
disclosure?
not know.
I love how his wife has a manlier voice than him, just saying.
Which,
Okay.
in my understanding, it's the disclosure of a lot of information that's been hidden from us throughout history that has been in some of the old ancient history books, like the presence of extraterrestrials, genetic engineering of humanity, you know, lots of different things like that. So
there's no scientific proof that genetic engineering of humans took place. There's some tantalizing maybe evidence if you listen to the ancient astronaut theorists or others, and I do agree that there are some unknowns when it comes to human evolution. Like, how did we just get huge brains so quickly? Well, relatively quickly on an evolutionary scale. And also, I've always had a problem with the fact that humans lost their hair only to then have to wear clothes. It doesn't make sense to me. If having hair would keep you warm in a cold climate, why would you lose all your hair? So, of course, there's questions about human evolution, but to jump right to aliens genetically engineered us with no evidence, he's not going to cite any evidence. He's just going to repeat that mantra. His wife is, because people have been repeating that mantra for 20, 30 years now, but nobody's provided any clear-cut scientific proof that that's the case.
you can maybe just speak into that for a couple minutes.
Sure. We do have a very interesting week 5 module that is quite long. It's the raw files are 114 gigabytes plus like 60 gigabytes or something. So we're looking at 2 hours and 45 minutes. And in that whole thing, I keep trying to walk Ben up to the line because, as you all can kind of gather.
And again, every time that he talks about Ben, I don't even know why he's still calling the guy Ben, because everybody knows who he's talking about. He's talking about Chris Beskar, the CEO of Stavati Aerospace Ltd., the company that has been in business since 1995 and never turned a profit, near as I can tell, and never produced a single airplane or airplane prototype. That's who he's talking about. This Ben is his obsession with Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ben Kenobi. I don't know.
There's a lot of stuff that he knows that he can't say yet. And at the risk of getting really close to the edge, let's just say that if he could tell you everything that's happened to him, it would be just as good as any of the other insiders I've brought out before. All right, that's about as much as I'm going to go towards it. Because again, we have to fight for credibility. So what is disclosure? Well, why did the Roswell crash get written off as weather?
Yeah, after using child molesters as sources, after using senile old men as sources, now he's got to worry about credibility. Where was his worry about credibility when he was using a child molester as a source of alien stories? When he was using a senile old man he was taken advantage of as a source of alien stories? Was that credible work, David?
Balloon or swamp gas? The answer is there was a big cover-up. So we talk about the cover-ups in the 1950s. We bring out Major Donald Kehoe in his book Flying Saucers. And we actually have a quote in there from the Air Force confirming that they were interplanetary in 1948 from the technical intelligence chief.
I know what he's referencing there. And they didn't say that these are interplanetary craft. They listed the possibility that they're interplanetary craft in that memo as one of the possible explanations for flying saucers. They didn't say definitively these are craft from another planet. He's stretching. Again, fact checking this clown is so easy. He just plays so fast and loose with the facts, and he doesn't think anybody knows the sources that he uses. These sources are out there. They're public knowledge and information, and twisting them to fit your already established narrative and conclusions don't help anyone, David.
For God's sake. I mean, this was very badly botched as a cover-up. And so when we get the truth, the real payoff is going to be the technology that we can then use. And so what makes Ben, whose real name is Chris, what makes Chris so extraordinary is that because he worked in classified aerospace, and he talks very forthrightly about what they've done with metamaterials and a lot of really interesting stuff, he is in a position to say, yeah, remember those smart glass pads you always heard Corey Good talking about? Well, he just blurted this out in the middle of one of the interviews. Yeah, we already have that. So
yeah, Apple had it too, some 10 years ago. So did it come from aliens, or did it come from a little known prototype that Apple was developing while they were working on developing the iPad device? Again, Wilcock is fast and loose with the facts. He's attributing things to aliens when they were earthly technologies. And further, there is zero evidence. I'm going to challenge David Wilcock. You are right here on a public video telling everybody that this Chris Biscar worked on secret classified projects. Prove it. Prove it. Show us. Who gave him access to classified projects? Who employed him working on classified projects? Where was he employed? Where did he work on classified projects? Friends, there is zero evidence and zero proof that this Christopher Biscar ever worked on anything classified or had top secret clearance or whatever you want to call it. He didn't. Not to my research, he didn't. And I will admit that I could be wrong. But David Wilcock is right here telling people that his new insider worked on top secret classified projects for the government. If that's not true, then taking $333 while you're telling people that this is true and accurate information and you're lying to them is consumer fraud, Mr. Wilcock.
So when we make airplanes in our new company, Stavati Aerospace, we want to make them with a holographic cockpit with three-dimensional color visual displays that you can see and interact with your hands. And that's going to be the way we want the hover cars to work too. So with...
It's not enough that David Wilcock says that he's going to produce a working hover car prototype within 1 year. Now his working hover car prototype is going to have 3D holographic displays and controls that you can work with your hands. It's getting so thick in here. I'm sorry, but He's not producing a working prototype in a year, let alone a working prototype with a brand new 3D holographic. Does he even read science and technology magazines? Because these things are 5 years off that he's discussing. They're not workable technology yet, David.
Chris's input, and with the help of the military, what we've done is to then look at the gift box that they've actually handed us, because the military has already given us a very fascinating body of data. And most of you are familiar with the Salvatore Pais patents,
which again, we've been over. There's no scientific evidence or proof that those devices work. If they did, somebody would have built one by now and shown it. Nobody built any of those prototypes yet, any of the things from those patents. Give them to a real physicist or a real aerospace engineer and ask them if this is workable technology, or is this some kind of pie in the sky nonsense? You can guess what answer you'll get. He keeps bringing up these patents. There's no proof that the patents also have workable prototypes attached to them. There's no proof that those patents are workable, real technology that works. If they were, why doesn't he build it and show everybody something floating? Why doesn't he build it and show everybody a free energy device? Because he can't, because that information is not real. I don't believe it's real and valid information. I don't know why the patent office would even grant a patent, but they've granted many patents for devices that had no hope of ever working.
Which are for an alleged hybrid air underwater craft, or HAWC, HAUC. They're saying that this thing will fly through the air, it'll fly through the ocean, it'll fly through lakes, and it'll fly through space all equally well. It does not use air, it uses a gravitational propulsion system. And they actually describe that in the patent and the theoretical construct of how they think it might work. So then,
how they think it might work, not how it actually works or how they can prove it works, because they haven't proved that it works and they won't.
There's a less known disclosure that was produced by the Defense Intelligence Agency, released to a man named Anthony Bragalia. And that material is 154 pages of very bizarre technical papers on things like amorphous metals, whatever the heck that is, metals that don't have a typical molecular structure that would make normal chemists and scientists and physicists happy. They instead behave in a very strange way where it's as if their molecules have all blended together. So we get really deeply into this topic in the show, these concepts of advanced metamaterials. So the DIA said that these metamaterials can lead to things like invisibility, anti-gravity, and a lot of other stuff, including energy production. So it's a very, very interesting thing that there are certain coatings that we can put onto airplanes or other craft that appear to actually duct light out of visibility. They duct it out, they take it somewhere else, they absorb the light, and they shoot it into another plane of existence, I think. So and we talk about the Philadelphia experiment. He talks about the metal that was used in the coils.
The Philadelphia experiment is fake. So David Wilcock bringing a fake story in to sort of prove that, what you're talking about is true and accurate is ridiculous. Stop using fake stories to prove your own fake stories. It doesn't help anything.
And why, the sailors got embedded in the hull, so there's some very, very exciting classified type of intel that's being put out. We actually talk about iridium, the metal iridium. There was a man you're going to meet in there who filed patents on iridium disappearing and becoming weightless and becoming invisible. So it's a real great load of fun. And then in week 5, we go through a tour of pyramids all over the world. We conclusively show The same architecture that's on pyramids in Mesoamerica happening with pyramids in, for example, Cambodia, and they're undeniable. We talk about each of the major types of extraterrestrial looking ruins that have been found, where skeletons or samples like this were found somewhere. And we also talk about how all of this work that we're doing trends back to this idea of Atlantis and an ancient civilization. What's really there? Was it in Antarctica? Is there something under the ice? Were they a solar system-wide civilization?
Oh man, you got to bring everything in when you're bullshitting. You got to bring in the Philadelphia experiment. Drop that. You got to talk about Antarctica and how there may be something under the ice, and you got to bring in Atlantis for the crystal hippie chick believers, right?
We get into all these things, and there's a lot more to share. This is definitely not a full disclosure, but it's as much of a disclosure as we can do right now. Thank you, Elizabeth.
You're welcome. And here's a question here from somebody, which I think is really important.
Okay.
This person says, I'm hopeful for the future, but I'm lonely. Is there anything mystical, magical, futuristic, or confidence boosting for all the brokenhearted, introverted, kind souls like me? Thank you so much. Be blessed. And I think that
And here we see the perfect example of some of David Wilcock's audience. Lonely people seeking answers. And somehow they find this clown. And I feel for those people. If you're lonely, if you're depressed, if you're anxiety ridden, especially given the current conditions in our world, it's natural that you would reach out and try to find answers. But going to a guy who's been lying through his fake teeth for 20 years for some kind of spiritual answers is not going to get you any help. Going to a guy who's been lying through his fake teeth for 20 years, stealing money from people like you, is not going to help you. Giving this clown money for his fake information, his fake insiders, his child molesting sources, his criminal sources, his senile sources about aliens is not going to give you any answers. All it's going to do is lighten your bank account. And that's sad.
this person is probably not alone in feeling this. I think a lot of people, ourselves included, this is a really, really tough time. And somebody else also asked about the veils lifting. And about do we have technology to clean and purify the oceans? So there's a lot going on right now, and many people in the spiritual arena have been talking about the veils thinning, and the ascension energies coming in, and all of this. And what that does is it's making certain things transparent. So what was covered up before is now not covered up so much, and that also means the squiggly things under the rocks. And so when a lot of sensitive souls see that, there's a shock, and a sadness to it.
Sure.
For the world to know about child trafficking and everything that goes with that has been really jarring for a lot of people. But one of the things that we talk about in the disclosure is Chris mentions that we already have the technology to clean up radiation from the oceans and to clean up the garbage and all of this stuff. And what we're really doing is we're focusing on doing that as much as we can, and getting over the hurdles and all the obstacles that come with it. So what I would like to say to this person is there's a lot of really positive things to focus on. And right now, it's really important to choose to focus on positive things, because that's what really will create those things around you, because the veils have thinned, and what we focus on creates so much quicker right now. And so it's about all of us in numbers focusing on a positive world, a positive reality, despite the fact that, yes, there are other people focusing on negative things. That's their free will. So what we're intending to do.
This is a whole lot of new age word salad. And what are his wife's qualifications to even answer questions? She's got black belts from a guy she was banging before David Wilcock in Kung Fu, from fake Kung Fu organizations that aren't real or traditional Kung Fu from China. They were Americanized joke Kung Fu that created black belts that don't exist in other forms of Kung Fu. That's her qualifications for answering spiritual questions. She's got fake black belts from a guy she used to bang before David Wilcock.
Each one of us and every person has this power to focus on creating good in your life and focus on the positive things that we have coming, the positive technologies, which is really what the disclosure is about. So I just wanted to speak into that and say, stay strong, go do yoga, go do things that take your mind off of thinking about the negative things, go hiking and really use that self-discipline to get out there and focus on the good things.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'll add to that and say that if you're depressed and miserable about what's going on, then you haven't really absorbed Michael's lesson. This is essentially what the law of one was telling us to expect. We are going through this whole ascension process now. So don't think that there's something else that's going to come later that's worse. No, the worst part is now. And the Michael stuff is telling us that this is very quickly going to turn around. So try to understand the scope of how these higher...
Yeah, the Archangel Michael is telling him that everything's going to turn around. Just like Ra told him that everything was going to be different once the year 2000 hit. Just like his fake psychic predictions told everybody that we were all going to get superpowers and light bodies. Do we see how he's always shoveling hopium at the hopeless, telling them that things are going to improve, things are going to get better, the alliance is going to stop the evil cabal? It's specifically designed for hopeless people to give them hope.
Beings work. They don't want to just show up and manifest as beings of light who give us advanced technology. They want us to be able to build our way into this new world ourselves. It's not that they're not going to ever contact us.
We're going to fast forward a bit.
Garbage, no pollution. As Elizabeth was saying, we can create these things called charge clusters and run them through radioactive material, and it deradiates the material very effectively and very quickly. And so with the hover car technology, you're looking at the possibility of being able to travel anywhere you want. I mean, this is, I look at the possibility when we get free energy and anti-gravity technology. If, let's say you have a hover car, right? Let's say your hover car has a power plant in it that will be enough for all your energy needs wherever you go. Then you could bring a few other supplies. You could bring a little hot plate or some cooking equipment that you could plug into your hover car. You could bring, you could actually go into areas where nobody has ever been because there's an incredible amount of unobstructed and undeveloped land in the world. So with a hover car, if there were open borders, or at least within whatever country you're in, there's so many cool places you could go. And if you have your own energy, you could just decide to opt out of the system. You don't really need to have money anymore. You could go get your hover car, live somewhere in a totally remote area if that's what you want to do. Find some island that nobody else is on, although those will probably get grabbed up pretty quick.
So here we are again. David Wilcock is not just promising people hover cars. He's promising them that your hover car will have a free energy device as an engine to provide all the power you could ever need. You won't have to work. You won't need money. I mean, that's a pretty tall order, David Wilcock. And you're promising people that this is what you're going to give them. Do you see the problem with this? You got your work cut out for you. Maybe you don't have time to be making hundreds of hours of content about this fake nonsense. Maybe you should be, building something, because you got, 10 months left to produce a hover car, a working prototype that now you say is going to have holographic controls and a free energy device included with it. Good luck, bro. Can't wait to see it.
And, you could live very comfortably and not need money and have everything you need. So it gives us a much, anti-gravity and free energy gives us a much, much greater level of freedom. And without being facetious, I do truly believe that we are on the cutting edge of this. And so when you participate in the disclosure, you're actually getting to see history in the making, and that's very exciting.
Or we're getting to see your downfall when you do not produce any of these things that you're promising your audience. Do you understand what a tall order you have, what kind of a corner you've backed yourself into? If you don't produce a hover car with a free energy device and a holographic control system, you're going to look like a complete and total liar. But you've been looking like a complete and total liar for 20 years. So I don't think that that bothers him. His ego is so big that this clown who claims to have a 180 IQ, by the way, that would make him smarter than Einstein, thinks that he's going to be the father of anti-gravity and free energy at the same time. Great.
You have a nice list of questions there. Do you want to look at that list and see what?
Yeah, he never takes questions, and this is great. They're carefully, selected questions from his true believer followers. If I was in there and I asked him about all the scams he ran, he wouldn't answer any questions because he's a coward, and he will not engage with anybody who has valid questions about all the scams he's run in his life.
Okay.
Jumps out at you?
Sure. Okay, this one's pretty good. Those of us who are not developing information independently using our own psychic abilities are depending on those who are to get a better picture of what is going on around us. But how does one evaluate the various different sources for reliability? I currently rely more heavily on data achieved through direct human perception, remote viewing, past life recalls. Why should I believe other sources that identify as ET, higher dimensional, or government insider? Well, again, I think discernment is very, very important. And
yeah, if you're asking David Wilcock what information sources to trust, you're asking the wrong guy, because this guy trusts child molesters, senile old men, and criminals and con artists as his sources. This guy is so bad at vetting people and research that he used a child molester in an interview. He used a senile old man in interviews talking about aliens. Asking him who you should trust about who is trustworthy as far as sources of information, it's not going to go well for you. And he takes it. And we're going to get to the good stuff where he talks about investing all of his money with this new insider of his, Chris Beskar, the guy who's been failing at running an aerospace company for 25 years. Yeah, he's real proud of his moment of truth with Mike Adams. Great. All right.
number is that although nobody likes to spend money on anything because we all have a fixed amount of it and it keeps getting reduced by food increases and embargoes and all this crazy stuff, this is ammunition. We are in a war here, and we are trying to save planet Earth from many different things that are going on. And whether it's saving a country like Taiwan by giving them affordable aircraft, or whether it's, helping us to be able to fight a space war that we probably are going to need to be doing very soon. This is an investment in our future. It's an investment in humanity's.
Yeah. He's suggesting that giving him $333 for this course is going to help him save the world. Because what did he do when he collected $70,000 for a charity? He spent it on himself. So anybody who believes that giving this guy $333 is an investment in humanity's future is stupid. It's an investment in David Wilcock continuing to live a millionaire's lifestyle. By the way, in that interview with Mike Adams, he made fun of people who had to eat from dumpsters, joking about, let's do a dumpster dive as a contest, like those people, the homeless people. What kind of a spiritual guru makes fun of people that have to dumpster dive and eat out of dumpsters? But here he is telling everybody that if you just give him $333, he's going to create anti-gravity and free energy and save the human race. Or is he going to take that money and spend it, just like he did with the $70,000 he collected for his charity that he never did any charitable works with? Now, investing in him is a fool's mission. What you're investing in is maybe he could buy some new fake teeth that cost even more than the ones he has now. Maybe he'll get a gold grill next, right? Maybe he'll buy another $1 million log cabin. That's right. David Wilcock bought $1 million log cabin with his ill-gotten gains, because nothing says manly like buying a $1 million log cabin mansion. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Men build cabins. Bitches buy them.
Ascension, really. And the Michael book, as Lulu explained.
Yeah, here he mentions Lulu, the girl who posted the GoFundMe scam, is working for him once again on this new scam. And I would just like to caution her, you're already probably in legal jeopardy over that one scam you ran or helped David Wilcock run. Maybe you shouldn't be involved with helping him run this new scam.
I've never seen anything else like this. It's all written in a very beautiful language. And so by the time we get to the point where I finish the book and then I'm going to do the audio version, I would expect that it will, listening to the audio version, which may not come out as quickly as the print version, that'll be the last big thing I need to do. But when we get there, hearing the voice of Michael reading off these prophecies from 1999, knowing that it's happening now, you will just cry and cry and cry and cry and cry the whole.
How are we going to hear the voice of the Archangel Michael? Is that false advertising too? He just said that his audio book is going to be voiced by the voice of the Archangel Michael. Can't wait to hear that voice of the Archangel Michael, you clown.
Time, because what it shows us is God did not abandon us. There is a God out there, that this is all being guarded and protected and watched over very carefully. This is close-up stuff, man. I gotta be close-up. We're being guided and watched over very carefully. We're being protected, and we are not alone in the universe. This is as much proof as I've ever seen. And so all the uncertainty that we feel about what's going to happen with, Joe Biden and the administration, and are they going to throw him out and then put in Harris, or are they going to get rid of Harris and put in Pelosi? What's going to happen? Where is this going? My God, look, Michael said there's not going to be concentration camps. It's not going to go into chaos.
Yeah, and his prophetic information is so great that one of his other prophecies was that Donald Trump was going to win the last presidential vote by a landslide. Now we're supposed to believe that his new prophetic source, the Archangel Michael, has accurate information when all of his other information has been so incredibly fake and inaccurate. And again, I bring up the test of a prophet. It's in the Bible. The test of a prophet states that one failed prediction means that you are not a prophet, because God would not give a prophet fake information. Maybe, just maybe, demons, devils, or other negative spiritual entities would give humans fake prophetic information. And maybe that's what's at play here. Just my speculation. But none of David Wilcock's prophecies or predictions ever come true, which means they're not coming from an angelic or positive or God source. They're coming from an evil one.
This was a necessary thing that we all had to go through to foster our global awakening. So I'm very, very grateful to be able to have all this amazing equipment. I was able to set up this 3-shot in one day. And so I've used this equipment to really compete with Hollywood on their own terms. We're not coming in with crappy equipment. We're not coming in with crappy cameras. We're doing the best quality show that we can.
By the way, I'm able to do the same kind of 3-camera shots that he's doing right now. And I did it with, I think, 3 $30 webcams, 1080p webcams. So, I'm sorry, Mr. Wilcock, Mr. Tech Guy. I don't care how much money you spent. It doesn't look much better than mine. And I spent $90. I didn't spend thousands of dollars of charity money to, buy tech toys for myself to do my show.
And everything that I do, I try to strive for the highest possible quality and perfection, so that each new thing I do, I can say, this is the best thing I've done. And for that same reason, I do feel that the disclosure is the best thing I've done. I create a quality standard you're going to see in Moment of Truth, where I start downloading YouTube videos and adding a lot of B-roll. And I've continued that through the whole course. So it feels more like a real documentary film, which it actually is. It's a documentary film series in 6-week installments, plus all these other things.
Yeah, and this is all a pitch. Buy my course. Buy my course. It's so high quality. And I would just submit and suggest to the audience that I don't think anybody cares how good the video and audio quality are if all of the content itself is lies, half-truths, cobbled together garbage from all over the internet, prophetic garbage that he says he's getting from an angel that he can't prove he's actually getting from an angel. Who cares how high the quality of the video or the audio is if it's all filled, the content of the content is all lies and garbage. You know, you could put, what's that saying? You could put lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig, David Wilcock.
It feels much more like that and less like, oh yeah, it's a video, or oh yeah, it's an online course. It's like, no, this is a film. This is an epic documentary on God, the universe, and everything: hover cars, anti-gravity, Atlantis, pyramids, extraterrestrial intelligence. We have a new insider who has incredible, verifiable credentials as an aerospace designer.
Yeah, he has credentials as a guy who's run a failed aerospace company for 25 years and has never produced a single aircraft. Earlier in this broadcast, you said that he worked for top secret government projects. And I would just like to challenge you. Show us which top secret government projects he worked for. What classified projects did he work for? Or are you lying through your fake teeth again?
Let's not get caught up in the fact that Stavati hasn't made anything yet.
He's been listening to me, and his wife has been listening to me. And I think his wife has been on his ass. Like, David, did you really give this Chris Biscar all our money? Did he use $1 million+ of our money to buy an airplane hangar because you think he's going to do something and we're going to make money out of this? No. Chris Biscar, despite having an aircraft company for 25 years, has not produced a single prototype. And we're going to see on his website that he's lying right now to people and investors. And I'm going to prove it to you in a short order.
The only reason Stavati still exists is because I kept it alive. It was going to die.
There you go. The company was going to go out of business unless they got a huge cash infusion from someone stupid, someone extremely naive, extremely stupid, and extremely bad at research, and extremely bad at vetting people, and let's just call it being a good judge of character. The company was going out of business unless they got a huge cash injection. Who gave them that? This clown did. And he deserves everything that happens next, because the money that he gave Chris Biscar was all gained by lying through his fake teeth to people for 20 years. So I think him investing all of his money with another guy who may indeed be a con artist is karma.
And I didn't want to see that happen. So I decided that instead of letting this company die, I would put my own money in and make sure that we get this thing to happen. And Elizabeth has been fully on board with me, which is amazing that the two of us are able.
Elizabeth, I'm going to talk to you right now. You're the wife, okay, honey? And I just want to say I have nothing personally against you, even though I would say that you have incredibly terrible taste in men. But, I forgive you for that, But here's the thing. You're the wife, honey. You're supposed to be the practical one, the voice of reason. If you let your dumbass husband invest millions of dollars with a company that has never produced a single product in 25 years, honey, why would you let your husband put all of your money? That's your money too, right? You're married. Half that money belongs to you as soon as you're married to this guy. Elizabeth, why would you let your husband invest in somebody that has been taking investment dollars from people for 25 years, but has never produced a single product, never produced a single airplane, a single prototype that has flown? Why? Why on earth, Elizabeth? Elizabeth! Why would you do this, Elizabeth? Why would you let this clown spend all of your money on this other clown? This is not going to work out well. I don't think you grew up with money, right, Elizabeth? You're from an affluent, rich family. You've never, right? You've never had real jobs, right? I don't see you like working at Burger King to help you and David make ends meet when you're broke as shit from giving this fake aerospace company all of your money. And Elizabeth, I beg you, please go and look into the officers of this company that you let David put perhaps millions of dollars into. Go look into the people involved with this company besides your husband. Look into their backgrounds. I think if you do that, you're going to be very surprised and you're going to be very angry with your husband for pumping money into this company. We'll just begin with Bill McEwen, the chief operating officer of the company that you let your husband put tons of money into. Bill McEwen collected investor money for creating a new Amiga computer and operating system for over 10 years. He produced nothing. No one knows where all that money went. That's the chief operating officer of the company that you let your husband put all this money into. I am appealing to you as a woman, right? If I ever decided to invest money, my wife would have to sign off on it. She's an accountant, by the way, and she's very practical. She would do her due diligence and she would research the company I wanted to invest in. Elizabeth, did you research these people that your husband is involved with? Elizabeth, did you research the chief operating officer and look at his super scammy past? Did you look into this Chris Biscar? Did you see proof that he worked on classified projects like your husband is claiming in public videos that he did? Why, Elizabeth, would you let your husband endanger your financial future by investing in this pie in the sky garbage company that has never done anything other than produce drawings of airplanes for 25 years? But again, Elizabeth, you've sat right by Mr. Wilcock since you married him, helping him run his consumer scams. You know he's selling fake information. You know he's using rapists and criminal sociopaths and senile old men to sell alien stories. Did you speak up to him? Did you say, excuse me, David, I'm your wife, and I don't think that you should be taking advantage of a senile old man. Excuse me, David, I'm your wife, and I don't think that you should be running PayPal scams for a guy who was in the hospital drunk, not under attack by the deep state. Excuse me, David, I'm your wife, and I don't think that you should be starting a charity and then collecting $70,000 and just spending all the money on yourself. But then I suppose you benefited from all those scams, didn't you, Elizabeth? You must be real proud of yourself. Every night when you look in the mirror, you got to say to yourself, me and my husband did a great job scamming people today, selling them fake information, making promises that we'll never deliver on for all this money and all this opulence. Look at this beautiful $1 million mansion that me and my husband were able to get by lying to people. No, I suppose that it's not just David Wilcock that has some karma to pay here. Maybe it's you as well, because after all, the Wilcock Spiritual Foundation, in which you raised at least $70,000, your name was on as well. You and David Wilcock ran that scam together. And maybe it was you and David Wilcock that spent $4,000 of that charity's money on meals and entertainment. Did you enjoy those fancy meals, that $4,000 worth of meals that people's charitable donations paid for you to eat? You should be ashamed of yourselves. You should be ashamed of yourself, miss, just like you should be ashamed of your husband. How do you live with yourself, knowing that you and your husband do this and steal money from people and never do the things you say that you're going to do? You're going to help the world with your charity. You helped no one but yourself. David and you spent all the money on yourselves. You couldn't be bothered, Miss Rich Lady, to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and go down to a town and feed a homeless person with that $70,000. Instead, you and David Wilcock ate $4,000 worth of meals paid for by people who thought that you were going to help people and do charitable work, so they gave you some $70,000. And where's the other 2 years worth of money, Elizabeth? Do you think that you're just going to get away with this? Your name is on all the paperwork. If there's any criminal proceedings, you're going to be included in them. If there's any problems with the IRS, you're going to be included with those problems. You were an officer of that charity that collected all that money. We know you collected $70,000. It's reasonable to assume that in the next 2 years, maybe you collected another 70. Let's just be fair and say, what if you just collected $70,000 a year? That would be $210,000 that you have to explain to the IRS, to the public, and possibly to someone in law enforcement where $210,000 went. Why would you let him give all your money to this aerospace company that hasn't produced anything? You're a woman warrior. You can't stand up for yourself. We see how David treats you while you're working for him. I do feel bad for her, but I think that she's about to get what she deserves as well for helping David with his various scams since they were married.
Able to see eye to eye and agree that we're going to take basically all of our money and spend it on a very aggressive, very high risk investment. But that's what we've done, and it looks like it's all going to work out very well. So again, I want to thank all you guys.
It looks like it's all going to work out very well. Is that what you tell your wife, David Wilcock? Don't worry, honey. I know I invested virtually all of our money into this investment, into this company being run by a guy that hasn't produced a single product in 25 years. But it's all going to work out, honey. Is that what he tells you when you worry or when you ask him what's going on with all of our money? Where is all of our money? If I were you, Miss Wilcock, I'd be on the phone with that company tomorrow wanting a full accounting breakdown of where your money is, what they're doing with it, and when you will start receiving money back. When are they going to turn a profit? When is your investment going to make a profit? Because I don't believe it ever will, Miss Wilcock. I believe that you two scammers got scammed. And I can't say I'm unhappy about it, because after all, it appears as if the bulk of all your fortunes were made lying to people. So maybe this is karma coming back to bite both of you.
Guys, for being here. Thank you, Lulu. I know you're about to have to leave. Sweetheart, did you want to say anything? Because I don't know if we want to keep going or if we should stop when Lulu leaves or what.
That's up to you. But there's a few important things, important
Sure.
points I'd like to talk about.
Okay.
And one is, just as David is saying, like, we believe in Chris so much, and he has created airplanes before. We talk about that in the course and his history of design.
Well, we're not allowed to disclose most of the important projects that he did that cost billions of dollars.
Again, that's a lie. He's never been involved. Chris Biscar has never been involved in any project that cost billions of dollars. And now David Wilcock is going to make excuses for why no one can see any airplane that he produced. And Elizabeth is sitting here saying, well, he did produce some airplanes. We talk about it in the course. Show us videos of airplanes he produced flying. Elizabeth, you can't. It's a lie. And if you believed him, then both of you are stupid, because there's ample and supportive evidence that this man has been, let's just say, playing loose with the facts and promoting his company looking for investors for years. Did you know, Elizabeth, that he once claimed that he had a contract or was getting a contract with the United States Army to produce a laser weapon? Then, when some people who cover, reporters who cover the aerospace and defense industries, pressed Mr. Biscar on the status of the weapon, the contracts, he had to admit that they never built it. Then he scrubbed all mention of that laser weapon and the Army interest in such a laser weapon from his website. Why would he do that, Elizabeth? Why would he do that, David Wilcock? It wasn't because that product didn't exist, just like all these airplanes, which we're going to show in a short order, don't exist. He's even telling people that the first flight of some of his models of airplanes will take place this year, which means he has 50 days to finish building them, test flight them, and make videos and show investors. Otherwise, that could be considered investment fraud just from the information that he has on his website.
But yeah, he has already done these projects.
We talk about what he could talk about.
Right.
And David and I have so much faith in him that we really have basically put all our money into it. And
I like how you're laughing now, Elizabeth. Let me know if you're still laughing about all that money that you gave this guy in 2 years. I can't wait to see if you're still laughing about it.
So
It's not considered smart investing, but it is smart if you want to live on Earth and have a future. So that's why
I
we
would
did
say
it.
it's not really easy to like, talk your wife into something like that. But
No, it wasn't.
honestly,
It wasn't.
it's Chris. It's Chris's genuineness of character. There's a lot of things that, David and I have spoken to with Chris that is not on film and we can't put on film. There are reasons why we have that much faith in him. There are reasons why we want to see this kind of technology come out.
Yeah, and I just want to say, Elizabeth, your husband had an incredible amount of faith in Corey Good. How did that work out for you guys? Right? Was that a beneficial relationship for you and your husband? I would venture to guess not.
Out to the world because we really love planet Earth, and we're talking about technologies that can clean up the oceans and radiation and the trash. And
I'll leak out one little thing, sweetheart.
Okay.
We can be correct and accurate in saying that Chris has never traveled through a Stargate portal. That would be correct and accurate.
Okay, we can talk about that.
He does not want to do that, and he has not done that.
Which implies that this person had access to Stargate or teleportation technology, which is probably a lie. And you get this? This is the new excuse now. David Wilcock and his wife have been watching my show. They've been watching my coverage of this scammy aircraft company that they gave all their money to. And now they're going to pivot and say the reason that nobody could see any airplanes that this person developed in these billion-dollar projects that they claimed he worked on is because they were classified. Sure they were. Just like Pete Peterson's adventures in space were classified. Just like Corey Good's adventures in space were classified. Right? Just like the child molester that David Wilcock interviewed with Kari Cassidy, Bill Brockrader. His military service can't be verified because it was classified. Sure.
Okay.
But he might have gotten around other ways. Let's just put it that way.
So there, we believe in him that way, and so that's why we have invested there. But also, I wanted to talk about a little bit about the grander picture too, because you were talking about Archangel Michael, and
Sure.
I have no idea if this is going to speaker view or not anymore, because I know for a while it wasn't. And I don't see it. I see it on David, but anyway, I might just be talking.
Let me see if I can click on you or what.
For a while, it was just stuck and it wasn't moving. We're not.
Yeah, the father of anti-gravity doesn't know how to work video cameras, right? He's going to invent anti-gravity technology and he's going to invent free energy and he can't work a freaking webcam. Sounds plausible.
We're not total masters.
I just pinned you. I don't know if that does anything.
I have no idea. But anyway, the law of one talks about the earth plane being called the choice. And so it's a place for us to make a choice. And that choice is, what are we aligned with? What are we devoted to? What do we devote our spirit and our soul to? And that
word salad, new age nonsense from his wife. And we're done here. Majorly, I wanted to point out that both David Wilcock and Elizabeth Wilcock are saying that they have invested all of their money into this company. And I can't tell you how glad I am they did. Can't tell you how glad I am they did. Thank you, CB, for a kind and generous $20 donation, who says, too bad, the most fascinating phenomena, in my opinion, UFOs, is full of so many morons and scam artists. It's just sad. Yeah, it makes me sad as well. And I believe that we missed another super chat. Let me find it. I apologize. I get a little hyper-focused when I'm watching and listening to the video, trying to think of things to comment and provide commentary for. Let me check. We will read all the super chats at the end of the show as well. But we have Marina Mavroginis with a $1.49 super sticker. Thank you both for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. This is a viewer-supported show, so if you want to support shows like this, there is a money button down there in the live chat. You just hit that. If you haven't already, you might have to put credit card or debit card information in once, but then you can assess any amount of money you wish. So I would highly encourage you to throw a few bucks in our hat if you want to see continued coverage of these, and honest coverage, right? Nobody's bringing you this information that we bring you that is counter to the scam, narrative that people are selling out there. And I think it's important and valuable work. I'm glad for so many people all around the world who agree that this is important work. And I want to thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support, and for helping us to praise the cash, friends.
Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your generosity. Praise the cash, praise the cash, praise the cash.
Oh, there we go. Sorry. I got thrown out of my own live stream somehow. And we have another one I just saw. Sorry, I'm way far back in the chat trying to get the, I apologize if I didn't get your super chat up on the screen, but we'll read them all again at the end just to make sure that we have not missed one. And I'm missing a $5 one now, which I can't find to put up on the screen. My apologies once again, but it's from Dorothy Hawkins, who says, with a kind and generous $5 donation, who says, thank you for pursuing truth in this field. Well, thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. Every dollar that we get, goes back into the show. And you guys have my word that I am not spending $4,000 of your money on meals and entertainment. First of all, if I had $4,000, I think meals and entertainment would be the last thing that I would spend $5,000 on or $4,000 on. I'm cheap, right? It's a lot for me to spring for like Burger King for the kids, I'm always like, we got chicken nuggets at home. I got an air fryer. Just wait, right? So thank you, CB, for your kindness, your generosity, your support and thank you, Dorothy Hawkins, who also did an amazing job doing transcripts of some of our shows covering Anjali. And I want to thank and recognize Dorothy Hawkins for that. And also thanks to Marina Mavroginas. I'll be thanking everybody that throws a couple of bucks in our hat. Before the show ends, we'll read them all again. That's what we do here. We like to read them all again. Oh, and there we go. There's Marina Mavroginas with a kind and generous $1.49 super sticker. Longtime supporter of the show, continued supporter of the show. And there's Goofon with a kind and generous $5 donation. I'm not sure how he's making super chat donations to me when he's running a show right now, I believe himself. But Rich from Goofon says, David Wilcock's a friggin' alien who doesn't know what the truth means. Hovering cars, channeling areas. He's a number 2 in my world. And I think some of us got some kind of, we know what you mean by number 2. Rich also says, support the Truthseekers show. He deserves it for all his hard work and best laugh on the net. Yeah, I never knew that I had a laugh that people enjoyed until I did this. On my radio show, it was edited, so I don't think I really laughed very much. But since this is a live stream and I like to laugh, occasionally laugh, right? Out of Mind is reminding us, help us shut down Wilcock's illegal 501c3 by reporting him to irs.gov. The more that report, the sooner he will be investigated. Blue chickens are not a religion. He does no community service. No, he does no charitable works. With all the money he collects, he just spends it on himself, right? Kate Schneider is here. And if that's the Kate Schneider I think it is, I haven't seen you in some time. It's good to see you here, Kate. Says Alien Girl, they do a lot of blow too. Well, cocaine is a very powerful drug, right? Cocaine, right? Goofon says, I'm coming, Elizabeth. This is the big one. Uh-oh. I'm not going to comment on that, but people are free, right? Oh, no. Yeah, so we're gonna cover a few more things here before we end our presentation, right? Out of Mind reminding people about the copyright disclaimer, allowing for fair use. Everything we show on our show is allowed under fair use. We're educating the public about David Wilcock and his various scams and all the lies coming out of his fake teeth. He lies through his fake teeth a lot, friends, right? Kate Schneider says she's a sex energy therapist or something along those lines. That was she was up to before they met, at least. Oh, I never heard of that. I know she was a kung fu girl, right? She sounds like Elizabeth Holmes, both tenor and effect. Yeah, maybe. And there's Dorothy Hawkins with the kind and generous $5 super chat. How I'm getting lost in this live chat trying to get. Oh, we have a kind and generous $5 super chat from Sally Van DeVoord. Oh, what the hell? You're my new favorite show. And a clown sticker. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support, Sally. We really do appreciate it. I promise I won't spend your $5 on meals and entertainment. We do have some bills here to pay. And by the way, I just want to mention that we're going to be upgrading. There's two things in the works here, which is very exciting to me. First of all, we're going to be upgrading StreamYard to the Pro plan. You know, we have the cheapest one, which only lets you do 3 streaming locations. But I believe that the Pro plan allows you to stream to 8 locations. So, and also do 1080p. So, well, there's a few major upgrades in the work for the what I'm calling the Truthseekers distribution network. Truthseekers is already available on all major audio podcast platforms. That means Spotify, that means Apple, that means Amazon, that means iHeartRadio. Virtually anywhere that you get your audio podcast, just put in Truthseekers, look for me, the guy with the sunglasses, and you'll find us. We also broadcast live here on YouTube, on Twitch, and on Facebook. But soon we'll be adding, I believe, it's either 3 or 5 more streaming locations. That may mean BitChute, that may mean Odyssey, I don't know. And also, you may want to check us out on Odyssey because we have begun migrating our entire YouTube channel over on Odyssey. And I'm very excited about being on Odyssey because it seems like a great platform so far. And they backed up virtually our entire show to their platform. For some reason, it missed the last 4 videos. So I have to upload those manually. And as soon as I've done that, probably later tonight or tomorrow, I'll be sharing on my Twitter. Please follow me on Twitter at Stephen Cambian on Twitter. I'll be sharing the link to Odyssey, and you can enjoy all the Truthseeker shows, both on YouTube and on Odyssey. And unlike Twitch, which only hosts about 5 shows and they erased the older one to put a new one, every single Truthseeker show ever made will be available on Odyssey very shortly. So I'm excited about the upgrades, and your kind and generous donations are what is allowing this. The super chats have picked up a little bit, so I can justify spending another $20 a month or whatever it is that StreamYard is charging us for those upgrades. Not a big fan of pay-by-the-month software, but StreamYard does most everything that we need to do. So I'm happy that we get to do some upgrades with some of this support that people are giving us. I could also remind you that there's one other way to support us, which is, well, 3 other ways. You could buy me a coffee. The link is in the description. You can send a PayPal donation. The link to do that is in the description as well. But please, if you're sending a PayPal donation, make sure that you include your PayPal user, your live chat ID, because a lot of people are sending me PayPal donations with their real names and not their chat room user ID. So just add a note, and you too will be able to. Oh, that girl Jessica, look at this. Look at this. What a bunch of great supporters that we have here, because I didn't think there was any, but I checked in. We have a kind and generous $6 donation from Paul, who says, "Keep up the great work. Love your show, Stephen," from Paul J. We have Threx with a kind and generous $6. Let me get to this one. This is great. With a kind and generous $6.01 donation, who says, "Show us your tongue, you reptilian bastard. All hail the Dark Fleet." Well, thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support, Threx. It really does help move the show forward. We have that girl, Jessica, longtime show supporter, with another kind and generous $5 PayPal donation. Thank you, that girl, Jessica, for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. And your continued support is much, much appreciated. Then we have a kind and generous donation from Stacy with a kind and generous $25 donation. Wow, very, very generous of you, Stacy. Very generous of all of you, but especially generous, Stacy. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. and I see that you are in New Jersey. And I just wanted to let you know that I spent summers very near where you live in New Jersey. It happened to give me your shipping address here, which I'm not going to share, but I just want to share with you that I spent every summer of my childhood in Browns Mills, New Jersey, which is very close to where you are. And I used to drive through your town to go to Seaside Heights with my parents. So interesting, it's a small world. It's a very small world, Stacy. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. So I have just a few more things to share with you. And really, some of this is not for my benefit or the audience's benefit. It is for the benefit of, to be honest, Elizabeth, because I want David Wilcock's wife, Elizabeth, to know what his stupid husband just gave all their money to. And I want to hopefully try to educate her so that she can do something to get back their money, maybe, or, yeah. Okay, so this is from Apollo, a site that covers different companies and can give you company information. Stavati Aerospace details. Stavati Aerospace is an aircraft manufacturer focused on the design and production of military, commercial, and general aviation aircraft. Stavati was formed with a vision to change the way aircraft are designed and built in order to improve efficiency, quality, safety, and performance while reducing the cost of ownership and operation. But there's a real problem with calling Stavati Aerospace an aircraft manufacturer, because not only have they not manufactured any aircraft, they've never even built any. Now, this website says they have 12 employees. But if you look on their About Stavati on their company website, it appears as if all of their employees, let me see, 4, 8, 12, there's 16 listed. We're going to show you that. So let's share that. This information may be old, and this one website is claiming they have 12 employees. But I beg to differ, because here on their website, they have, let's see, 16 employees. And here's Bill McEwen, the king of computer scammers, that ran Amiga Incorporated into the ground, never produced the Amiga computer he promised, never produced the operating system he promised. In fact, the people who did write the operating system sued him and won ownership of that operating system, because Bill McEwen owed them so much money at that point that was the settlement that was reached. Bill McEwen took money for investors for the Amiga Incorporated company he was running, claiming that they would build a brand new Amiga computer and operating system that would bring the Amiga computer back into prominence. But he never did. Never produced anything, but he did get sued by an awful lot of people, including people who invested money with him and the family members of people who invested money with him. So Elizabeth, just so you know, that company that your husband gave all that money to, that is Bill McEwen, the chief operating officer. Go check how many times he's been sued. That's the quality of people that your husband gave all that money to, right? And here we have 16 people listed as employees. But none of these people are actually people that will work in a plant or assemble things. None of them, even to my knowledge so far in researching some of these people, are actual engineers. I can't find any of these people who have actually successfully built an aircraft out of all of them. So, Elizabeth, your husband gave all of this money to a company full of people with a proven track record of nothing, near as I could tell. And hey, I could be wrong. But when you take into account that Stavati Aerospace has not produced a single airplane, and their chief operating officer is Bill McEwen, who most people in the computer field will recognize as somebody that ran a very, very incredibly shady operation, collecting tons of money in investments and never producing the products that he promised, gee, maybe, just maybe, your husband should have researched Bill McEwen before he gave him all of you and his money. That might be a good idea. Maybe he should have researched the company before he gave them all of that money. I mean, just my take, right? Just my take. And here we see a brief history of the company. And of course, now I'm going to have problems finding it. But there is one other thing that I really wanted to share that is very telling. Okay, here we go. I found it. Of course, I find it right after I stop the screen share. So we're going to cite fair use. This is a public website, but we are still citing fair use. We're educating the public about the scammy company that David Wilcock is now. Oh, that's the wrong one. We're educating the public about this company that David Wilcock has apparently invested all of his and his wife's money into, Stavati Aerospace. So to see how we have a problem with this company misleading the public, misleading investors, right on their About Stavati page, they show all these aircraft. And look what we see here. Here is the SM-31 Stiletto, supersonic trainer and light fighter. And look what it says. Its first flight will be in 2021. So I just want to ask David Wilcock and his wife, if the company that you gave all your money to is saying that they have this aircraft, the SM-31 Stiletto, supersonic trainer and light fighter, and its first flight will be in 2021, why did you guys show an empty aircraft hangar? Couldn't you have at least shown us that aircraft? After all, I would assume that it has to be assembled, engineered, and built already and prototyped if its first flight is going to be in 2021. If you had an aircraft whose first flight was going to be in 2021, wouldn't you put it in that aircraft hangar? Wouldn't you store it there? Wouldn't you show it to people? Or am I correct in that Chris Beskar and all the other people involved in this company have done nothing for 25 years but make nice CGI drawings of airplanes that don't exist? They haven't engineered them. They haven't prototyped them. They haven't test flown them. So far, all we have from this company is David Wilcock 3D printing what amounts to G.I. Joe toys in the form of little toy airplanes made from a 3D printer. We've got the company telling you that their SM-31 Stiletto supersonic trainer and light fighter from the 2021 will have its first flight in 2021. And I would just submit to you, Elizabeth, and you, David, where's that airplane at if its first flight is in 2021? Next, we have the SM-27 Machete turboprop close air support. Again, listing its first flight as 2021. Wouldn't that aircraft be engineered, prototyped, built, and test flown already? Why would you show an empty airplane hangar if you've got two models of aircraft that you claim that your company is going to be manufacturing whose first flight is in the year 2021? I mean, we've got something like 50 days, 51 days perhaps left in 2021. Yeah, 2021 is going to be over soon. So, Elizabeth and David Wilcock, that means that your company that you've invested all of your money into has 50 days to show, build, test fly all these two airplanes, or they're lying to investors and the public on their public website right now. This, my friends, is what Chris Beskar has done for the past 25 years. He's made nice drawings of airplanes. Oh, here we see the SM-39 Razor Air Dominance Fighter. That one's not going to fly till 2028. But here we have one that's supposed to fly in 2022. So you have just 50 days in 1 year to make that a reality. Or you're lying to investors and lying to the public on your public website. David and Elizabeth Wilcock don't understand the ridiculousness of this, because surely a reputable aerospace company who's putting on their website that we have these two airplanes whose first flight is going to be in 2021, they'd be able to show us both those airplanes right now. Not 3D printed toy models that David Wilcock showed us, but the real aircraft. And they can't, and they won't, because this is the pattern of Chris Beskar. Hype, 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 drawing, 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 and nothing ever gets built. Nothing ever gets manufactured. Nothing ever gets test flown. We just get some pretty pictures of some cool looking airplanes. And I'll give them that. That's some cool looking airplanes. But I could do the same thing in Blender. Doesn't mean that I'm an aircraft, CEO. No, friends, a real aircraft CEO would be able to show you airplanes that he designed, airplanes that he prototyped and test flew. No, friends, there is no airplanes in this company's future. Not real ones, anyway. Do you guys have any idea? I reached out to a few people, one of which works at Boeing, and I asked him, how long does it take from start to finish to design, prototype, and build a new airplane model if your company wanted to do it? And he said 5 years minimum. Now, he could be wrong, but he really does work at Boeing, and I could show you airplanes that guy helped develop. He's a real person, He's not one of David Wilcock's imaginary friends. He said from start to finish, it would take about 5 years for even a company like Boeing, with all of those resources, all that brain power. Imagine how smart the engineers at Boeing are when you take them in total. Like, they've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of aircraft engineers working for them. And even for Boeing, it would take 5 years to design, build, and test flight prototypes, working prototypes of new airplane designs. But somehow, David Wilcock's company is going to produce 6 different airplanes in a few years. I'm sorry, I call BS on that claim. And I certainly call BS on David Wilcock's claim that they are going to produce hover cars within 1 year. A working prototype hover car, right? And besides, what are the odds? This guy couldn't even make a standard airplane, but he's somehow going to produce an incredibly exotic thing like a hover car? Or is this going to be some kind of scam where he's going to call it a hover car, but it's just going to use turboprops or something to get it off the ground a few feet? I don't know. Rebecca Turner commenting that her stepdad was a senior engineer at Boeing. Yeah, go ask him how long it takes to get an aircraft from, a brand new aircraft from nothing to prototype and test flight stage. I asked a few people that I know work for aircraft companies, and most of them said 3 to 5 years. Yeah, David, quick, take out a full page ad in AW&ST, which is a magazine that covers the aerospace and defense industry. So you can give 30,000 aerospace engineers a laugh. Yeah, but now, and remember, Elizabeth, your husband claimed that this guy, Chris Beskar, made 3,500 spaceships. And I would just submit to you, Elizabeth, ask Chris Beskar to show you proof of that. Or tell him that you want your money back. This is not going to end well for David and Elizabeth Wilcock. They're going to lose their shirts. And I can't say that I'm not happy about that, but I'm not sad either. They made their money scamming people and lying to people and selling fake information. And David Wilcock, made his money interviewing, let's just say, less than trustworthy individuals telling alien stories. Essentially, he scammed the public with fake information for 20 years. He scammed the public with his fake psychic superpowers for 20 years. All of his predictions failed in 2000. All of his predictions failed in 2012. Some of his latest predictions, about how Trump was going to win the election in a landslide, that failed. Oh, or how about before the inauguration, David Wilcock predicted that Joe Biden would never step foot in the White House. Well, it turns out that prediction was wrong. So for 20 years, David Wilcock, and recently for the last few years, Elizabeth Wilcock, have been scamming the public out of money and not doing or providing what they're promising for years. So maybe it's karmic justice that these people will lose their shirt, lose their life savings to another scammer. Then maybe they'll know how it feels to be scammed out of money, to be promised all kinds of things, for somebody to take your money and not give you back what they promised. Just like you're doing with your current course. Because Elizabeth, your husband stood there lying to his fake teeth saying, if you buy my course, we're going to teach you the secrets of anti-gravity and free energy, and you'll be able to do it too. That's a quote from one of his sales pitches about this course. And I got to ask you, Elizabeth, has anybody that's taken your course been able to build a hover car or a free energy device or an anti-gravity engine based on what your husband taught them? If not, then you just participated with your husband in consumer fraud. That's my take on it. That is my analysis of what is happening here, and I stand by it. Based on all the available information that we have, David Wilcock is running yet another scam, promising people things he will never deliver on, promising people he has true information that will never be proven true. And that's where we're at. So I'll take a few comments and questions from the live chat. Otherwise, we are going to be bouncing on out of here. Envelope for You says, sometimes falling is really ascending. Yeah, I look forward to watching David Wilcock's ascension into aerospace history. Not going to happen. You know, it's just like, it's so stupid to me. Like, you know, people's history and people's track record means something, David and Elizabeth Wilcock. And if this guy told you, oh, I did produce airplanes and spaceships, but I can't show you them because they were classified, then you got scammed. He's not working on billion-dollar projects. He's not working on classified projects. He's giving you an excuse for his 25 years of failure as he's taking your money from you. You deserve whatever happens next. And hey, I could be wrong, and next year we could be seeing hover cars and free energy from David Wilcock. But I doubt it. And that's where we're at. Sixth Sense says, no doubt our government is sometimes just as silly as David the Forehead Wilcock. Sometimes, right? Professor Johnson Poke Lunge says, when you crap hard enough, you become enlightened. I guess so. Kate Schneider says, I don't think she cares. I think she just sees the money signs, or at least the potential there. I mean, certainly, Kate Schneider, if they were to produce any of the things they're promising, they would be millionaires or billionaires in a short order. But partnering with scammy people that have scammed people before and never produced anything for 25 years, or in the case of Bill McEwen, 10 plus years, it doesn't look good that this is going to work out in your favor. But that's just me, right? Toady UK says, Truthseekers, I feel somewhat sorry for Elizabeth. How could she invest real money into these people? Yeah, I'm sure she's going to regret it when they're broke, because that girl likes expensive things. She likes $1 million mansions and you know, expensive cars and having $4,000 in 1 year to spend on meals and entertainment. She likes those expensive things. What's she going to do when they can't afford Taco Bell for date night, right? It's well within the realm of possibility that these two will go completely broke, have to start selling off assets, because I'm going to go out on a limb here and tell you that Andrew Biscar is not suddenly going to become successful after being a failure for 25 years. Andrew Biscar, Chris Biscar is not going to suddenly become successful. After 25 years of promises and hype and not delivering anything, he's not suddenly going to become successful. And Wilcock, David and Elizabeth Wilcock, you're talking about all these contracts you have with foreign governments. Did you see the contracts? Did you call those foreign governments to verify that those contracts are real? Or did you possibly get scammed into giving this guy a whole bunch of your money based on information that is not quite accurate? And Elizabeth and David Wilcock, I have to let you know that I have a whole lot more information about both Biscar and others involved in that company that I'm not sharing publicly yet. But I will tell you that I feel incredibly confident in my analysis of this situation and what is likely to happen to your money. And I will be releasing more information, but I'm very big. You guys know I'm very big on being very thorough. I don't want to put mouth in gear before having facts in hand. So let's just say I have more homework to do before I release the rest of my information. So once that homework is done, I'll be releasing more substantial and supportive evidence that supports my analysis of this situation. The Sixth Sense says defense contracts. Now that's funny. No, it's kind of sad actually, but it is what it is. Kate Schneider, he has good teeth, but you have the best eyebrows in the world. I might agree with that. Miro Obscura says Wilcock has leeched for long enough. Time to sing. Yes. Kate Schneider says, Professor Ha, thanks. Wilcock's got another thing coming with these eyebrows. And yes, they are furrowing at the moment. Interesting. I want to apologize once again if you're hearing pauses in audio podcast land. I just don't want to be coughing and hacking and sneezing into the microphone. So please forgive the dead air. I want to remind everybody, if you're listening in audio podcast land, you're missing half the fun. Please come over here to YouTube. Just pop over to YouTube, put Truthseekers in the search bar. Our channel will pop right up. Me with the sunglasses. Smash the subscribe button, smash the notification bell, and you too can become a part of the story instead of just listening to it or watching it. We welcome you to become part of our live chat, to submit comments, questions, and participate in the taping of the show live. If you're listening in audio podcast land, great. But you're missing half the fun, which is the live recordings. I also want to remind everybody, besides throwing a couple of bucks in my hat, there's another way that you can support us. And that is to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Share these videos on your social media. Share the audio podcasts on your social media. Send them to some friends. Well, friends, I suppose I'm going to bounce out of here and go blow my nose. Yeah, I'm struggling not to be coughing every few minutes here, which is difficult. So, I don't know what it is with this cold. I've been getting plenty of rest. I've been sleeping more than I ever usually do. Taking naps, trying to sleep it off. The best thing for your body when you're sick is rest. So, I'm trying to get plenty of rest. Thanks to all who reached out to me, but I'm fairly certain this is just a terrible man cold and not COVID related, but thank you for your concern. And Sixth Sense is reminding everybody that you can support me on Patreon as well, and to like, share, and subscribe these videos. Bry is commenting, Six, nice work on Wayne. I hope you found out more. Yes, our own chat room MVP moderator, Sixth Sense, is digging more into the Anjali story, and we're going to have him on here to talk about that soon. Woody Mongol says, thanks, Stephen. Get well soon. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for participating. Thank everybody for coming tonight. You always hear me say this, friends. I'm always happy when there's an audience. Tonight we had a great one. Thank you so much for coming here and being a part of mine. What else can I say? I'm going to go hack up half a lung. I'm a terrible person when I have a cold. I would rather, it's just terrible because you just, like, I don't feel so terrible, but I feel terrible enough. And it's been a week already, and it's still here. So I'm hoping maybe I got one more week of sniffling and coughing and hacking and having throat problems and losing my voice. Hopefully it'll be over soon. So what can I say, friends? Thanks for coming here and helping me to struggle through getting through another show. We made it to the other side. Thank you so much for being here. There's no place I would rather be. So until next time, friends, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you, especially you, Elizabeth and David Wilcock. I really hope that you two don't have to start dumpster diving. But if you do, I won't laugh at you about it. Good night, and God bless all of you.